If you're a girl that's had a lot of sex around the block, you can tell who's clearly blessed. And Microsoft's finna pull a Saturday or future Sega move on the Xbox Series X, defense mode switching to attack mode. And Microsoft is now rumored to already be on their way to making the next console that's going to be coming out in 2026. And even funnier than that, Sony is still releasing their console in 2028 when they just literally announced they're about to release this coming month the PS5 Pro. They want to release their PS5 6. The fuck am I saying? They're going to release their PS6 rumored in 2026 as well to compete with Microsoft. Look, whenever a gaming company makes a shitty console, they give up on it and make another one. That's what Nintendo did with the Wii U, and that's what Xbox looks like they're doing. But Sony, when PS3 fucking failed or whatever, they just went ahead and just rolled it out, and they succeeded. But they also had good first-party games. Microsoft has done bought out every major gaming company in the fucking galaxy, but because of all those contracts that they had of third-party developers, and Xbox is not even really in the console business anymore. Anyway, at least they don't want to be. They don't want to be in the console business. They want to be in the streaming business. They basically want to be the Netflix or what Steam Deck is to PC games. They want to be like that, but for like all games. Like they pretty much their new competitors basically going to be Steam, more so than PlayStation. But they want to defeat Steam by having their shit everywhere. That's why you think they're butting up to Nintendo so hard. They want to be like Steam, but they already have their own platform just like Steam does. But they want to have that shit like with Steam and also be on the Nintendo. And I guess eventually also be in place. Like they don't really want to compete with Sony and PlayStation no more. They want to have their shit on their console as well. Because right now Xbox is in this weird space. Microsoft is where they're pretending like they're still competing with PlayStation, but they technically are, but they don't really want to compete with Sony. They want to just be the ultimate streaming service. They want to beat I'm about to say Sega. They want to beat Nintendo and Sony to the punch. Now we all know Nintendo is going to be the very last. As retarded as they are and or out of touch as they are, we already know Nintendo is going to be the last in the race to make a streaming service. Microsoft was at least smart enough to get into it early. Where now they're we can pretty much tell that they're definitely going to be first in line with all that. And then Sony's kind of like a step behind them, but they're still doing fine with their console setting and everything. So they have their fingers dipping, they're dipping their waters. What am I saying today? They're dipping their toes in the water in that direction, but they're not fully invested into it because their consoles are still selling. Xbox consoles aren't selling and they're not doing so hot, so they're deep into that shit. And Nintendo's doing so well that even if they weren't doing well, Nintendo's never gonna get into that shit. They're always gonna be dragged kicking and screaming into that direction. We all fucking know. They're always gonna be dragged kicking and screaming into the direction that everyone else, the whole industry goes to. They've been making this mistake since the PlayStation days, where they pissed off all the third-party developers by saying, "Nah, we're gonna make what we want, and you're basically gonna make your games for our garbage. What the fuck are you gonna do? Who's gonna compete with us? Sega?" And then Sony came out of nowhere and fucked them and took over, as they should, because Nintendo is a pain in the ass, stubborn old fucks. So y'all know Nintendo's gonna be last in this race. They're just dipping their toes now with the online thing. Like they literally just created a paid online service that they're now adding games to. But like we said, they're the last to the race. Microsoft was first in the race, and Microsoft makes so much money elsewhere with the web browser and the computers and all that shit, and just in every other direction that they're Microsoft. See, I'm really fucking up today. But their Xbox consoles could just keep not selling and not doing well, and they're really not, they've already invested too much into the gaming sphere, and actually did pretty successful at it for a time there, until they weren't. But they already invested too much in the gaming sphere to just fucking, completely throw their hands in the air of that shit now. Now, they have the money and the funds to not go the Sega route of just completely being a third-party developer and all that shit. But they have the money and the funds to keep fucking up as they try to dip their toes into the streaming game sphere or whatever. We're not quite there yet, but we're getting there. No streaming thing. And of course, emulators will always be alive to save the day. But it would be stupid of Sony. If they were to release their console 2026, that'd be retarded. Yeah, Xbox will have a head start. Who gives a shit? If your PlayStation 6 comes out the gate like freaking in a fetal position like they did with the PS5, because the PS4 that came out swinging. Well, not really. I mean, they got a few good games the PS4 at the beginning, but it took 2 years for them to really get going. We're already 4 years? We're about 3 years. We're pretty far into the PlayStation 5 development, and we only have a handful of games. So you need to do the Nintendo Switch Wii U to the Switch route, where you save all your heavy hitters for the next console and release what you have to in your current console. Now, obviously, the PS5 is selling well, but you need to give yourself time for that. The PS6 comes out. When the PS6 comes out 2020, 28, there's not going to be much games for it. We already know that. There's going to be like maybe 5 games at best, if there's even that many. There's only going to be a handful of games when the PS6 comes out. So don't rush it and then when you're about to release at the end of 24 your PS5 Pro, and then what? Now a year and a half later you're gonna release the PS6. Don't fucking do it to yourself, right? The economy is not that fucking great for people to be buying consoles all the fucking time. And Xbox and Microsoft, they have to come up with a console 26. Their console sold so shitty that they're not even announcing how much their consoles sell anymore. They're completely like, nah, we're just not gonna say that no more because it's embarrassing. So they kind of have to go the Nintendo route of like, yo, our console's selling so shit that we're just gonna go to the next generation. Fuck this shit. And maybe Microsoft has. I know Microsoft has all the studios they bought still obligated to release, with contracts to release their games on third party like Sony and mostly Sony and PlayStation. I don't know about Nintendo. Maybe there's a few contracts for Nintendo as well. But we all basically know that they have to fill out the contracts for the next few years. But they have to come out with their next console soon, because the Xbox Series X didn't do shit. The PlayStation 5 is selling well, but it's not selling as well as the PS4 did. A lot of people are gonna hold out to the PS6 anyway. It's like the whole waiting 2 years for a phone instead of buying a phone every year thing. Well, in this case, the whole console generation usually sticks to 7 years, but people are waiting longer than that because the economy isn't great. It's not a coincidence that the economy isn't great with the whole Bidenomics thing going on, with the president we had these last 4 years and everything fucking going up. Correlation with console maybe not selling as well. The Switch was selling well during, the previous president when things were better. And then, it just kept up the momentum. And of course, it was cheaper. But Sony and everything, and on top of that, the console just isn't selling well anyway. Not that the console is selling well, like the games aren't there. The console's selling well, just not selling as well as the previous one because the games are just not there. And games are more expensive.
Yes.
And the economy, like I said, isn't that fucking great. And so Microsoft has to release this shit. Sony needs to stop trying to do the whole I want to be first to the race shit. The Switch came out in fucking 2017, 3 to 4 years before Xbox and before Microsoft and Sony were even ready to release their shit. And they didn't even bother releasing their shit until when they were ready. They released their consoles when they were ready. Nintendo released their console when they were ready. They gave up on their console mid-generation. And so few people bought the Wii U that it didn't even really lose hope for anything. I mean, Nintendo still did good by making sure the Zelda game came out for the Wii U as well. But Microsoft just has to abandon the Xbox at this point. They have no fucking games, and the games they do have fucking are trash. And Sony needs to let Microsoft release your shit in 2026, release your shit in 2028. Alright? You already have a whole half of 100 million people ready to buy your console. Don't fuck them over because you want to be first to the race. Let Xbox do their thing. If anything, it gives you more of an advantage. Because if Microsoft is releasing their console this early, then you have 2 more years to make your console that much stronger, right? So yeah, don't worry about it. Then you can be the one saying, oh, we have the more powerful console. Fuck them. So wait it out. Nintendo's going to release their console, rumored, next year. But but they're releasing their shit on their time. And there's rumors that Xbox might come up with a handheld console too. Look, if the Xbox is doing a bad job of making their main console, home console sell, then they're gonna have this is a harder time selling their fucking handheld console too. The only company that knows how to sell handheld consoles and make them sell real well, like home consoles do, is Nintendo. Everybody else sucks at it. Even the Steam Deck that's selling moderately well is not selling nowhere near on the level of the Nintendo Switch. It's not even sniffing its fucking jockstrap or whatever the fuck. Nintendo's the only one that knows how to do it. Because now they're pretty much a dedicated portable console and just mixed in the home console thing with it. But they're the only ones that fucking sell well. If you're gonna buy any portable console, you're gonna buy a Nintendo portable console. Then you're gonna buy everything else second. So trying to come up with a portable console, you can't even say your home console not even doing well, Xbox. You're not gonna do much better having a portable console. Just like there's rumors that, you're gonna release Xbox Live and all that shit. Your Xbox games, your streaming service pretty much on the Nintendo Switch. That's what you need to do. That's your home console market right there. Try to infiltrate that way. Xbox need to straight up turn into a streaming service 100%, and then just have to release your streaming box and that's it. The whole home console thing is just a waste of money. Right now, they're just trying to stay phased by making another home console, hoping by releasing it a few years early, you get one step over Sony. And we don't really know how well did that freaking console even sold, the Series X I'm talking about. But if it didn't sell that well, if it sold the Wii U numbers, which is hilarious if it did, And just release the console in 2016 and do what you gotta do. And Sony will do just fine if they wait the proper time to release the PS6 in late 28. I think Xbox needs to do this. Sony needs to stay patient and don't fucking try to compete by releasing their console just as early. Don't be stupid. And Nintendo, of course, Nintendo releasing what they fucking feel like. But that's all I really gotta say about that. But Microsoft needs to Microsoft, I think this is a good decision by them. If Sony tries to release their console 26 as well, that's a bad decision on them. Especially being the price on the PS5 Pro levels of pricing. And of course, Nintendo, I don't know what the hell they're waiting for. Fucking announce your fucking console already. People already fucking hyping it up for the last month and a half already just to release the fucking console. Okay, my bad, not release the console, but like release the trailer, acknowledge it already. Now, what the hell are they waiting for? It's already past October, we're in November. I guess they're gonna wait till December? I don't even know. Maybe they really are gonna release it next year holiday season. Because I know they released the Switch in April 2017 just based on the fact that they're desperate. You know, they're just desperate to get the Wii U the fuck out of there and have the next console come out. And that way you don't have to explain to the fucking stockholders another year. They don't want to go another year and the stockholders say, hey, don't worry about it. Just hang in there, guys. We're going to make it. Like, I know they got sick of that shit. But they usually release the consoles towards the end of the year, right? You know, that's what everyone does. That's what Xbox, that's what Sony and Microsoft does. Nintendo usually does that too. It's the only time they didn't do it. So maybe we really are going to get this console next year. And all these rumors about to be announced any minute is probably bullshit. They're gonna pull a Saturn in our future. The thing is, well, you know, Sega pretty much gave up after making that mistake and actually releasing a real good console, the Dreamcast. It was already too late by that point. The Dreamcast didn't sell well. Sony PS2 came around the horizon, and despite the Dreamcast being one of my favorite consoles of all time, it was already too late, and they gave up. They're losing too much money. But Microsoft has already lost that kind of money that Sega was losing during the Saturn and Dreamcast era 10 times over by now. Where they're fucking not selling that well Xbox One and probably selling even worse Xbox Series X series and Series S series. So Microsoft could afford to lose all that money that Sega lost and made them start making home consoles. They can afford to have another console flop or whatever, semi-flop, and still go about the whole streaming service thing that they want to do. So Microsoft could afford to take as many losses as they fucking feel like taking. So Microsoft is fine as long as it's like when WCW was losing all that money in the 90s and Ted Turner's like, I lost more money in sports than I ever did in wrestling, so we're just going to keep it alive. As long as Xbox wants to keep it alive, it will stay alive. And I believe this is a good decision that Sony needs to fucking chill and wait their turn. You don't have to release your consoles at the same time. Don't try to be first to the race. Let them do their thing, you do your thing, Nintendo's doing their thing, and everybody can be happy. Because competition is great. And we need desperately for Microsoft and Xbox to stay in the game. There's attack mode, back to defense mode. I'm out. Peace.